Welcome everyone. In last class we learned about one-step equation. Who can give me an example of one-step equation?
2x equals 4.
Perfect. So 2x equals 4. So today I brought a balance scale that I made so that we can see the equation in another way. Who has used a balance scale before? Or who knows the idea behind it? Cheryl? Yeah, that's right. So that's the case that we have now. I've also brought some weights. I don't know if you have learned this in physics. So these objects are called weights. They have different sizes, and each size indicates a different weight. So the one we have on that side is 200 grams. And we have two equal weights on this side, but I don't know how heavy each of them is. So using what we have learned about one-step equation, can you figure out how heavy each of them is?
If two small weights equal to one big weight, so each one is half of the big one.
Yeah, right. It's the same idea like this. You just divide each side by 2 and you get x equals 2, right? So now I want to make it a little bit more complicated. I still keep this side 200 grams, but I will do some change to this side. I will add 2 smaller weights. They are equal. And I will also add another weight, which has a different weight. And I can tell you that, although it's moving up and down, I can tell you that now the two sides are still equally heavy. And I can also tell you the bigger weight that I just put on is 100 grams. We also know that I didn't change this one, it's still 200 grams. And I know these two are of the same weight. So can we try to think how we can figure out the weight of each of these two objects? Can we think about what's the difference in this situation from the one that we had before? Like before we only had two objects of this equal weight on this side, and now we have something else, right?
Now we have 4 objects. We have one extra. That's the difference.
You have one extra on this, right?
Yes.
And is that what makes you feel it's more complicated?
Yes.
Then, can we try to change this situation to the one that we had before, to use what we have learned about one-step equation to solve the new problem? Yes. Can you think of any way?
We make equation.
How do you make the equation? Like now we have an equation, right? And we have, the equation is these two, if we say x, plus this one, 100, equals this 200. And how can we figure out?
Is 2x plus 100 equals 200?
Yes, that's great. And how can we figure out the x? Can we change it to the equation we had before to make it easier?
We solve the equation. We minus 100 on both sides.
That's great. That's exactly what we want. So if we look at this, we want to make this simpler, like the one we had before. Maybe we can just remove this 100, right?
Yes.
But remember that we want to keep this still balanced. So what should we do?
We replace this one.
With what?
With the difference between these two.
What's the difference?
Which is 100.
Good. Yeah, because we subtract 100 from that side, we should do the same to this side. And now, don't we have the same equation as we had before, right?
Yes, because it's balanced.
Yeah, good. So now let's try to put what we just saw and learned into a two-step equation. After our class about equation, we're going to play a game using shapes, but it's about equation. I'm going to divide the class into teams of 2, and I will give each team sets of clue cards. So here's one set of clue cards. There are 4 cards. And on the cards, there are equations made up of shapes and numbers. So, having learned so much about equation, you should know that we can figure out the value of each shape, right? So this is what you're going to do with your team. And once you figure out the values, raise your hand, and I'm going to give you another set of clue cards. And in that set of clue cards, the values of these shapes change. So in the end, the team that has solved most problems, has solved the most equations to get the most value of the shapes will win, okay? Okay, so let's start.